All right, you guys, as you've recently heard, King Cobra JFS has passed away. His father walked in and, found the son deceased, which I'm going to be honest with you, I can imagine that would be the worst moment in any father's life. And I wish all the best for him. Now, I've talked about King Cobra many times on live streams and in videos. And as you guys know, he engaged in some very reckless behavior, very questionable foods. He abused drugs and abused alcohol. That's just a given. So, with that being said, 2 years ago, I also mentioned, and this is upon learning that people were actually sending him drugs and sending him alcohol just to accelerate his behavior that you should not be doing that. I mean that's just pretty horrible. I mean, and not only that, there's some legalities that are going to be in place with it, but now uh here we are. And I think it's time for some people to lawyer up. So I'm going to repeat again what I said 2 years ago in terms of what involuntary manslaughter is, okay? Now, you've heard the term murder and negligent homicide. In this particular case, cause of death for King Cobra JFS, unless he went and slipped on a banana peel or something and fell down the stairs or something, which he found his son supposedly sleeping. That obviously wasn't the case. Unless something like that happened, cause of death is always going to be homicide, involuntary manslaughter. And the reason being is this here, folks. You have to understand what reasonable foreseeability means, okay? You could be charged with involuntary manslaughter for reasonable foreseeability. What that means is if a reasonable person should have known that encouraging, now keyword encouraging, a specific act was dangerous and could result in death. The fact that people were sending him alcohol and drugs, I think that would be encouragement. And given the fact that you could see all of his videos, I could foresee that if he got more drugs, more alcohol, that it would result in his death. Also, there's causation, that the defendants, basically the person who sent the person or individuals who sent him drugs and alcohol and their encouragement directly led to the victim's death, that being King Cobra. So it's time for some people to lawyer up. You better go call, Ben Carson or not Ben Carson. You better call yourself a good attorney because you're going to need it. Okay? You have what's called a very angry father. All right? A very angry one. He's crying right now. But when he stops crying, he wipes tears off his face. He's going to go after the people that did it. And surprisingly enough, this story is gaining huge news in terms of not only bullying, but eventually it's going to lead to, okay, who's been sending him this stuff? And his father already mentioned that trolls were sending him alcohol and drugs and stuff. That's involuntary manslaughter. You're going to need an attorney. So whoever's been sending it out there, Judgment Day is here, folks. And in a couple of months, you're going to be seeing people charged with involuntary manslaughter. And those individuals are the ones that encouraged this specific act that caused his death. Now, with that being said, even if they can beat the rap, it's going to cost a lot of money for attorneys. Okay? A whole bunch. Tens of thousands of dollars. But wait, there's more. You need to realize one thing. This is a criminal charge. You also have civil charges. And with a civil charge, it requires a much less burden of proof than it does in a criminal charge. But the criminal charge is pretty cut and dry, basically. How dare you people go and send this man alcohol and drugs? Now, eventually, even if drugs and alcohol weren't sent to him, eventually his demise was going to happen. He was going to die of alcohol poisoning, liver failure, or whatever, basically. But your encouragement accelerated his behavior. You hastened his death, in other words, by sending them this stuff. And that's going to cost you. And don't think because you didn't put your name on the package that no one ain't going to know who you are. Sorry, I mean, I would seriously doubt that you thought this ahead. If you did think this ahead, you wouldn't have sent this stuff to him to begin with. All right? This is really serious, folks. This is not a game whatsoever. All right? How dare you people go and send him this stuff and continue to do so even after I've warned you guys about it? Now, originally I warned you guys because, we don't, I didn't want the guy dying or anything like that. I wanted him to get help. But you guys just kept sending him stuff, and now he's dead because of some of you guys' behavior. You guys are going to pay for it, too. Oh, you're going to really pay. I mean, criminal charges, civil, doxing, ostracization, and everything. I mean, it's going to get real bad for you there, folks, okay? And this should be a learning lesson for everyone else who thinks that they can go and encourage people to screw their lives up. If you do that, same thing's going to happen to you. So I wish King Cobra's father all the best. And that's all.